Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pop Quips. My name is Paul. Today I'll be going through the engine bay of my BMW E46 project car and looking for any potential areas of leaks. And then I'll walk you through how to clean your engine bay. So let's get right through it.
First, you're going to want to start by removing any of the components you feel confident you can put back together. Grab a selection of metric sockets and just go to town on all the bolts. Now, when removing bolts, it's super important that you label where they come from. Unless you're like me, of course, and enjoy a bit of a challenge, in which case, chuck them on the ground and see if you can figure out where they go. To get a closer look at the engine, we're going to want to remove the plastic covers. On my car, I have these 4 bolts up here, which can be easily accessed. In yours, it might be different, who cares? And now, with all the larger components out of the way, we can go ahead and check for any leaks. Wow, and not a single leak. That's pretty typical for these older BMWs. And now that we've confirmed the engine's bone dry, I'll show you how to clean all the non-leaks and go from this to this in just under 7 hours. Step 1, and probably the most important step, is to disconnect negative terminal on your battery. Now this is really important, so you should probably Google it. Step 2. You're going to want to keep your bone dry engine dry, so cover it with a tarp or a garbage bag like this. And make sure you've covered all the air holes if you plan on driving your car afterwards. Step 3. Now that the engine is fully watertight, you're going to be tempted to grab your pressure washer. But don't. We got to dry clean before we get anything wet. For this, you'll need a Miele Compact C1 canister vacuum, preferably in blue, and a Gowak 13-piece detailing brush set car detail brush for auto detailing, cleaning car, motorcycle, interior, exterior, air vents, leather, trim, seats, wheel, air conditioner, which you can get from Amazon affiliate link down below. Then simply brush off the dust and suck it up with a vacuum. Step 4. Fill your super expensive trigger action foam gun with a mixture of Chemical Guys Honeydew Snow Foam and water. Then, using the detailing brush from earlier, agitate the surface to get at all the trapped dirt. After one final rinse, let the car dry however you like. Personally, I like to use rice, but a leaf blower works too. Step 5. Now this is the hardest step, cleaning the old non-existent oil off the engine. I tried using this Chemical Guys degreaser and man, this is the worst smelling stuff I've ever used. Plus, it didn't even work that well. I expected the non-existent oil to just melt away, but I had to scrub pretty hard to get at it. So, I don't recommend you get it, unless you want to smell how bad it is. Since you can't spray water directly onto your engine, I suggest you use a towel to just wipe off the degreaser. Step 6. If your car was made before the 1960s, you'd probably be done by now. But since this car is a 2003, I have a crap ton of plastic that looks faded and gray. So, using some of this Chemical Guys Silk Shine and a towel, go over anything that's not metal. It'll really bring all the plastics back to life. And with that, you're ready to reassemble your car, hook up the battery, and pray she starts.
So, the whole process actually took about 4 hours. I know on YouTube it looks pretty short. But if I were you, or if I were to do this again, here's what I would do. Firstly, vacuuming and brushing, that shit actually works. I was super impressed by it. But the soap and water or the degreaser, that I was really disappointed. I thought it would be a lot faster, but it's just too much of a hassle to disconnect the battery, cover up the engine block, and then be careful with the water and all that. So I would ignore the middle portion. And instead, if you want to get the old oil and grime off the engine block, I would use something like a brake cleaner or a carb cleaner to that stuff's actually strong, so it'll melt away the old grease. I would use a brush and some brake cleaner to get that off. Just make sure you don't get it all over the plastic parts, but if you do, you can go to step 3 and use the plastic shine, whatever we used there. That was really good. I was impressed by that. So I would, instead of using water in your engine bay, I would just simplify it to dry brushing and then carb cleaning the engine block or brake cleaning the engine block. and then shining up, shining up the plastics, which is like 70% of the engine bay. So that's my conclusion there. Hope you liked the video. Like and subscribe. I'll make a couple more depending on how long I keep the car for.